All right, we are live.
Hey, everybody. We are live for Hat Chat number 28. I am your host, Luke, and I'm joined here today by a very distinguished panel here. I got one of my faithful moderators, Morgan Brown.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Hey, Morgan. It's amazing, right? It's like, it's like I've talked to Morgan so much, and now I'm here. We finally made it happen. I'm also joined by another distinguished guest, and this is Steve Goldstein of Bencraft Hatters here in Brooklyn.
Hello.
All right, look at that. Like I said, this was something that I literally concocted like 11th hour, kind of like a lot of my kind of ideas, right? Yep. And you guys, and I know I didn't really advertise this show, and that's because, well, I didn't really know I was going to do the show up until I got here over at Bencraft here on Avenue M. And it's just good to be back in Brooklyn, and if you guys can't hear me, you guys let me know. Obviously, we don't have, right now, we don't show anybody here, but if we do have somebody joining us, you guys will let me know if I'm not coming in live and direct. And I got extra volume, trust me. Oh yeah, trust me. You guys know. Anyway, what I do want to kind of do is, right, so Morgan has the mic, Steve has the mic, and I think that's going to be functional because, well, you guys don't want to hear, you guys heard enough of me. What I want to do is kind of throw up what I like to call like the intro question, and Morgan, hopefully you don't mind. But one, I want to just ask you both, to kind of talk a little bit of a quick intro, and a little bit about like your hat journey, right? And as much as you guys, or as little as you guys want to share about, let's say, maybe your career journey or school journey, and maybe your life journey, to the degree that you want.
Of course.
So, Morgan, you okay going first?
Oh yeah, I can go first.
All right.
So for hats, I've been all over the place.
Yeah.
At first, I loved baseball caps, with the Yankees,
Yeah.
as teams as far away from me as like the Diamondbacks or the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Dodgers. On the other side of the country.
Yeah.
From there it expanded.
Yeah.
It expanded greatly.
Yeah.
I found interest somehow. I don't recall how or why, in cowboy hats.
Okay.
So I looked up cowboy hats, and of course Stetson pops up.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the very first hats that I saw was, I believe it was the Stetson Revenger, which is a black, I don't know what kind of felt. I'm assuming fur felt.
Yeah, I think so.
Fur felt with a kind of like leather band, I believe.
Yeah.
Black leather band and very wide brim and a telescope crown.
Yep.
A telescope crown. So it's all over the place, kind of wide brim, telescope crown, leather, or a different other than ribbon hat band.
Yeah.
It was. So I didn't quite like it. I think the brim was way too wide, even with my chunkier appearance, I guess you could say. It was just not for me. So I ended up returning it, and I don't recall how I ended up getting into the fedoras, but I guess from there, with if you were looking for a smaller brim cowboy hat, that's basically a fedora.
Yeah.
I found out about hats and guitars on YouTube. Kevin,
shout out to Kevin.
Yes,
he's the best.
And through him and his many connections, I was able to meet Steve of Bencraft. And let me tell you guys, Bencraft is the place to be when it comes to hats if you're in New York City. When Luke and I was looking for an alternative place for Tuesday, was it? Tuesday.
Yeah, it was for Tuesday, right? Yeah.
To come because Steve, you weren't available on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I told Luke, I said, I don't think there's any other hat store that is quite like this one. That is so welcoming, is fair, and is willing to not throw you under the bus, or I can't, that's not the right term, but screw you over. That's the New York way of saying
hey,
that's not Bencraft.
We keep it real here.
That's it. You know, in the life
that is not Bencraft. I always tell Steve, Bencraft is a second home to me.
That's it. Thank you.
When I'm looking for an escape, I come to Bencraft. They're open,
Yeah.
and 9 times out of 10 they are.
We are.
Yeah.
If not, I'm sleeping.
You know,
Right?
I'll tell you one thing. This is my first time here in the shop, and Morgan and I, like we and while Steve was helping a customer, a gentleman from Mexico, which, you know, I got to break in a little bit of my Spanish. You know, Steve broke out his Spanish. You know, so I kind of like, wow, this is like a real time customer interaction. So I kind of just went like, all right, I tried to be a little bit neutral, but also interject myself, only because I'm a talker, man. You guys know that. But the one thing was, what a great hat shop. And I mentioned, like, this is like being in hat church. No wonder you hang out here, Morgan.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like being in hat church.
I spend at least an hour of my time here, no less, not a single minute less. And the great thing about it is that Steve is very hospitable.
Yeah.
If that's a word, right?
Yeah.
Hospitable.
Oh, yeah.
I know there's hospitality, but I'm not sure
Right.
about
Yeah.
hospitable. But he's very hospitable, and so is his staff. Shout out to Boris over there.
Hey, Boris.
If he wants to come say hello, he can.
You can.
But Boris is one of Steve's workers here. Unfortunately, Bill is not here, but he's also amazing.
Yeah.
He's very knowledgeable. All of them are. And there's no better place to be when it comes to hats here in New York City, honestly. And
Yeah.
Thank you.
Steve did not pay me to say that.
No.
There you go. See
I don't
that?
think there's enough to go around with that.
Yeah.
In this-
No.
Let me not go further because this is just
Yeah.
hats. This is just about hats. I'm sorry, you guys.
That's all right.
But like I said, Steve, and my first interaction with Steve was very pleasant, I would say, and I walked out very happy. I was a very happy customer. I came out with a Borsellino film in
yeah.
Cognac, it was, right?
Mhm.
Cognac. Very beautiful hat. And I was sold right away, not only because of the hat, but because of the professionalism from Steve and his staff, you know.
Yeah.
Steve knows how to sell you a hat, but he's not out there just for the money. He's out there to spread the hat community, spread the word about the hat community. Like Luke said, this is a hat church,
Mhm.
That's right.
and you got to spread the gospel.
There you go.
That's right. Hey, amen.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. And I'll tell you, before we get over to Steve, you know, we'll do hat checks. You guys know my hat. This is my Knox Tom and Jerry from the 60s.
Wow.
You know, it's like, hey, this is my I got this from Kevin Gerber. Again, no surprise. You know, he termed it the Frank Sinatra hat. It is my Frank Sinatra. It's my knockaround, my hat that I don't want to think about. You know, so what I'll do is I'll make sure that Morgan shares her hat and you know what she's wearing and anything she wants to share about her hat.
Well, I'm wearing a Hoofwood. It's the Bogart model, but however, it's modified because a Bogart usually comes with a 2 3/8 or 2 1/2 inch
Yeah.
rim. But Michael Enerson of Hoofwood makes a hat to any specification you want, as long as it's doable. He can do it.
Yeah.
You can dream it, he can make it.
That's
you know?
right. Shout out to Michael. He's that guy. I got to get you on here, Michael. You know what I mean? So be ready.
Yeah,
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you so much.
of course.
Yeah.
But this is a 2 1/4 inch brim with dual binding,
Yeah.
and it comes in pecan color. As you can see,
Yeah.
there's Sedan brown and then a darker brown on the inside with a Sedan brown
Yeah.
hat band, which kind of matches. It's kind of like tonal to the felt for
Mhm.
for pecan. And this is from a company called Huss, the felt
Yeah.
Huss of Ukraine.
Mhm.
Oh,
And Michael doesn't have much of their felts anymore, but I was able to pick it up luckily, and it's made of beaver 100. That's basically 100% beaver. It's a beautiful hat, very sturdy. As you said, Tom and Jerry has your knockaround hat. This is my knockaround hat.
that you
throw
gotta
it
feel that. Like well, let me just do
Oh
that.
yeah, of course.
This is like, you know, that pinch test. You pinch that. That's a very thick felt. And you know, and the thing about it is like I almost want to eat like the sweatband.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's gorgeous.
Let me show that.
Yeah, show them that sweatband. Look at that. It is gorgeous, you know, and I shared this before the other day, I believe, when we talked about sweatbands. There's nothing to me, and again, it's probably the vintage hat nerd in me, that a nice brown sweatband, in my eyes, there's no hat it looks bad on.
No.
A Panama hat,
Yes.
any hat.
That's right.
And I think there's a real big reason, other than the fact that people connote it with let's say the heyday of hats, right? You know, we talked a lot about that. But for me, the heyday of hats, right? Like my stingy brims, a lot of them were from the 60s and 70s. For me, that's the heyday. But again, agree to disagree. There's no really wrong way to do hats as long as you're respectful. And we're all about respect here on Good Luke.
And you know, it's funny you say that, Luke, because before you arrived, Steve and I were talking about sweatband colors, and Steve informed me that, you know, the darker, well, not necessarily the darker the better, but the darker colors are preferable, you would say, for overtime use.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm
No,
saying
you're
you wrong, Steve.
You're right.
Than a lighter color sweatband. So brown is like the sweet spot, but it's not too dark and not too light. You know, I think brown is the sweet spot.
Yeah, it is.
There you go. And see, there. I mean, it has to make perfect sense because again, I mentioned this. I believe this was on Tuesday when we were going. I'm talking about strictly from aesthetics, not to mention the fact that there might be a functional benefit. And now you added that, and now you just made me love the brown sweatband even more.
Yes.
So yeah, before I even get too ahead of myself, because I tend to be long and verbose. Steve,
Yes.
You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Steve Goldstein. I am the technically fourth generation in my family to be in this business. My great grandfather had a hat factory in Europe. When my grandfather, his son, came to the United States, he started to work for a ladies' hat factory in Yonkers, and
to Yonkers,
New York. And his brother also did the same thing, and then decided in the 1940s to go into the hat business for themselves. And my grandfather opened up a shop, little tiny store in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, on Rodney Street, and it was a step down shop. And to save money, when there was no customers in there, he would shut the lights off. And then when customers would come in, he would turn it back on. And we were there for a while. And then his son, which is my father, decided to move the store to a bigger location, which we were in Williamsburg on Broadway, right opposite from the bus station. And we were there for almost 70 years, and until about 2018. When the building was sold, and unfortunately we had to move out. But we had a huge store there, and we were there at a time when there were 5 or 6 hat stores within 2 blocks. And everybody got along, everybody did business, and this was a time when everybody wore hats. You know, back in the day, back in the 1940s and 50s, you didn't go to work or you didn't go to church without a hat on. You had your suit and tie, and you had a hat. And that type of mentality, unfortunately, has changed a lot. But we rely on the dedicated hat wearers to keep us going. And we have customers that come in from all over the world. As you guys saw, Mexico. We have a lot of customers from Europe that come here. We have a website, so people find us. And they come in, and there's nothing better than coming into a store and trying something on. I personally hate to buy clothing online. And but there aren't that many hat stores, so people they buy it online, but it never fits right, so it has to go back. But when people come into the store, they can try on a certain item, but they could try on whatever size that they want and decide which one fits them best. So that's the purpose that we're here for.
All right, and then let's make sure that we don't forget what hat, right? The hat check. Steve, what hat are you wearing?
So I like small brims, and I just happen to have put on a hat from, of course, the world famous Borsellino.
All right.
Okay, which has been in business for many, many years, and they're known for making very lightweight, soft hats. And since I have somewhat of a big head, not as big as you, Morgan, but I like a hat that fits comfortably on your head, and this is my hat of choice.
Shout out to the stingy brims.
Stingy brim.
And I know you fedora loungers. You guys are a big fan of your longer brims, as well as your high crowns.
Right.
And I love those. You guys know I love your hats. Now I have some hats that have the higher crowns. Again, there's no real wrong way to do this, but it's really great to hear somebody else say, you know what? I love the stingy brim.
Stingy brims always. My father used to like stingy brims, and we've seen styles change very drastically over the years, from big brims down to small brims, the very wide brims, and now it's gone back to the smaller brim era, and whatever works,
Yeah.
whatever you like. Everybody likes to look a little different, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I had a very great discussion, and you guys that are regulars on the channel may remember this when I had Steve Heck, who came on and talked about the real Ector velour process. I ended up having lunch with Steve over at what was that, kind of like an early dinner. We went to a beer garden, and we had a great conversation just about everything. And one of the things that he mentioned, there were so many great nuggets I took out of that conversation. But for Steve, he felt that a lot of the love for the high crowns stems from that evolution from the Westerns, right? That old 10-gallon hat, right? And then obviously that evolved into the that gangster, that Chicago's era gangster look that everybody loves from the 30s. And it's like, that's great, but right, hats evolved, right? At some point we saw, and there's a lot of theories about why. We know that the automobile and the proliferation of automobiles had something to do with that, right? As people became more affluent in terms of, now we can afford to buy a car, right? Well, now that big old hat is a little bit more of an albatross.
Yes.
So hat makers, right? Just like the hat tip liner was an addition. Like, okay, when we started wearing product, right?
Yes.
Guys like Kennedy, who wore product in their hair. Well, the hat manufacturers said, okay, we got to go and develop something so that we don't ruin that nice liner. So hat manufacturers, right? Big Hat, John Kavanaugh, Hat Corporation of America. That gentleman, like for me, John Kavanaugh was part of for my Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Like, and for many, he would probably be like that last great guy.
Yes.
That was, he was a character. Again, not knowing him right personally, but he was a guy that patented the Kavanaugh edge.
Yes.
And not only did he patent it, he enforced his patents.
Yes.
So he was a guy that was going to call you out. You try to steal his idea.
That's right.
So he made a lot of, right. He had a lot of friends, but he also had some folks that didn't like him. And that was okay. Like, this is just business, right?
That's right.
So shout out to John Kavanaugh. And so the idea is that hat manufacturers, I like to call it Big Hat. When Kennedy was being inaugurated, John Kavanaugh won the contract for that top hat. So he went out there and said, "Hey, sir, we know that you're not a hat guy, but we still we won this contract. We want you to wear our hat."
Yes.
And the idea was John Kavanaugh was probably that last kind of icon, maybe right after John B. Stetson, and he was kind of like that last hurrah. Yes. Before hats became part of this now subculture. And that's where we're at now. We are now, Steve, it thrives here on the basis where now not everybody's a hat person, but folks like Morgan and other folks that are coming, you can already see from around the world, are coming to Bencraft Hatters because this is one of the few places left either in the city and probably in the region, right? Yes. I live in the DC area. We have one hat shop. I haven't visited them. I'm going to visit them. The way I understand is that hat shop is in Alexandria, Virginia. If you're out there and you watch this, I'm going to come visit you. We're going to do something because, again, there's no such thing as a bad hat shop. No. Right? I mean, even if I don't like you, I want you to do business and I want you around. That's right. Right? I don't have to like you to do business with you. There's a lot of people I don't like, but I still do business with them. So shout out to that. There's very few people I don't like. I say that stuff because I like to talk. But one thing I want to kind of just get at is, right, so obviously Morgan, if you guys know, Morgan's a moderator. She is the younger generation, like this is fascinating for me, right? I got to imagine that when you met Morgan, you were like, what? Like, I don't know how many young people you get in the shop. But that's something I like to know about.
It's good that we are getting young people in the shop, because if you relied on the previous generation of people that that have been wearing hats, eventually those people are not going to be around,
Yeah.
and you have to cater your business to the newer generation.
Yeah.
What a lot of stores have been doing is they're carrying a lot of caps. Caps seem to be,
Yeah.
you know, a way to invite in the younger generation. It's an easier sell. You can have a lot of variety with caps. There's a lot of different shapes,
Yeah.
and that seems to, you know, that helps. But you can't survive on just selling caps. So
Right.
you know, we have always been a hat store, and we always will be a hat store. We only sell hats. We don't sell other products, but anything that's related, you know, to headwear. So caps,
Yeah.
you know, it's a good addition to the hat business. But we'll always be selling fedoras.
Yeah. Well said. Amen
Mhm.
to that.
Mhm.
You know, and for Morgan, you know, for me, right? So obviously the fact is you guys have a great relationship. Obviously you have a customer you know, hatter kind of a relationship, but it goes beyond that.
Yes.
Right. So like Morgan, by her own admit, the first thing she said, I come here every time I can. And that's, I believe that should be a lesson for you guys, right? So if you don't currently do, right, if you're a hatter and you don't take time out for the younger generation, you're really doing a disservice, you know. And I feel like, no, hatters are really too good to do something like that. But if you're doing that, don't, right? Because what you're doing, right? If Steve wanted to be a curmudgeon, he could have said, well, Morgan, I got no time. I'm a busy man. You know, I can't sit there and let you hang out in my shop, right? But you're doing this, you know, you got to do this because this is the future, right?
That's right.
Nothing lasts forever, even November Rain, right? Guns N' Roses. I like to live forever. Like we talk about Uncle Dom. Uncle Dom is 97. God bless you, Uncle Dom. I'm coming to see you tomorrow.
There you go.
God bless. You know, I want to live to 97 and beyond if I can, but doesn't matter. We all have an expiration date. So, you know, my hope is that Morgan right here is going to remember Steve forever.
I hope so.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And you never know what Morgan's legacy is going to be. And it all is, right? You stand on the shoulders of giants, right? And I don't care. Sometimes we stand on the shoulders of dwarfs. I don't care. It's still a little higher up.
Right.
If Steve and myself and all the other people that influence Morgan, right? Michael, all you guys have a place in Morgan's heart in her hat journey. And not just her hat journey, her school journey, her career journey, her life journey.
Right.
You guys don't realize, and that's why I always say, you don't know who's watching.
Nope.
You know, go treat the person right, and that includes the kids, right? The best reactions that I got in my hat journey has been from kids, because kids are very honest.
Yes.
You know? They say, right, every boardroom should have a child in it. And that's why the children of the future, right?
Yes.
Whitney Houston said it best. Right now, they may not be somebody that's going to buy a hat from you, but you are now influencing, and that's what I'm like. You never know.
Yep.
So,
True.
You know, I get very preachy, guys. And you guys, I mean, I know Morgan knows. It's because I go into dad mode all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, and even if you're older than me, sometimes you can be younger than somebody and play dad. And I always think of people like Robert Galt. I think of people like Paul John Murphy. You know, you guys do have hearts of teachers. And you know, we know nobody's perfect, you know, but you got to be careful and with how you communicate, because we're trying to create more, not less.
Yes.
So right. So Morgan could have easily went and said, no, I tried that. Bunch of jerks in this hobby. But no, she found Steve. She found Kevin. She found Michael, and now Morgan's like, well, there's no way. Now Morgan's part of the culture now, right? She's part of the subculture, and she's influencing. Right. So now, if you decide to step out of line, Morgan's got you. You know, Morgan's gonna check you, because I'll check you. Steve will check you, but now Morgan's gonna check you. And even if you're like two times of Morgan's age, she's gonna check you, because she knows she's not gonna do that to somebody else that could be a future Morgan.
That's right.
Don't do it. Don't do it, because you now this man's got one less customer potentially, right? Oh, now Michael has one less customer. Now Kevin has got one less customer. Now Paul, and Robert, and Josh, right? Shout out to Josh. Let's see, Josh. Josh just hit us up with a comment. Wife wants to plan a trip to New York. Going to convince her to swing by. Hey, we got Josh in Alabama. Josh, welcome. I might not be here for that trip, but if I am, I'd love to do that. And you know, and I'll treat to food, right? You know, I'll do something to try to make sure that you guys know that, right? Because the greatest gift that you could give anybody is your time.
Yes.
Right. The great Warren Buffett is in his 90s right now. I really admire that man, not because he's a rich man. It's because when he speaks wisdom. I'm a big fan of wisdom. You know, I like to have more of it, to be honest. But that's just not the way I am. I try to be. So, right? It's like I'm more of a wiseacre, or, you know, a wisecracker than a wise man. But I try, you know.
Do the best you can.
Yeah, exactly. So back to you guys, because it's not about me and my pontifications. But, you know, I guess my question, I'm gonna throw this over to Steve. You know, you obviously have been in the business, right? You've talked about it's a multi-generational business. Yes. What are some of the things? And obviously some of the folks that have been in business, like Meyer the Hatter, right? Shout out to Meyer the Hatter over in Louisiana, right? Oh, yeah. I haven't met you, but I hope to do that one day. You guys have seen a lot of trends come and go, yes, right? And obviously you guys, as being a good business, have responded to those trends. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you're like, wow, you know, if I could write a book, what would kind of like be in that book?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think when a lot of these stores started, yeah, and especially the previous generation, it was from a time where you had to wear a hat, yeah, because of where you know, who you were and everything, to now it's I want to wear a hat, yeah, because I want to look nice and proper and dress well and everything, and I want to look, you know, different. And so it's a much more of a specialty business. Yeah. You know, years ago, if you look at the old pictures, especially from baseball games, you would see literally hundreds and hundreds of people wearing hats and caps because that was the norm. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit different, and hats have become a very specialty business. But whenever I get a customer that comes into my store that's never worn a hat and they try one on, whether they buy it or not, when they look in that mirror, they're like, you know what? I look good. I look nice, and I'm going to end up buying this. May not buy it now, but I'm going to buy it. Or I'm going to remember where that store is, and I'm going to come in and try on the hat and, you know, make myself look good and more confident.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Obviously, so if I got to watch when I showed up today, Steve was already helping a customer, the gentleman from Mexico. And shout out to that gentleman from Mexico. Man, you know, he was there with his son, right? So his son is watching his dad interact with this gentleman running this shop, right? So you can imagine, put yourself in the place of that young boy, right? He's there. He's like, oh man, I respect my dad, right? Right. You can already tell that son respects his dad.
Yes.
And now my dad's showing this other man respect.
Right.
Right. And they're talking about a hat. This is how it happens, folks. Right. Like my dad never wore a hat, but I respected my dad.
Yes.
And my granddad, who I never met, was a hat wearer.
Yes.
So, right. Sometimes it skips generation, but respect is always the common thread.
That's right.
You know, treat with respect. And I guess my next question, right, and I'm going to shoot this over to Morgan, right, because this is, I love this interaction, right, this relationship that you guys have formed, right? There's somebody out there, right, either right now that's watching this or that will watch this when we go into syndication, mm-hmm, right? And they might be even younger than Morgan, right? So just FYI, Morgan's not even 20, you're not even 20 years old yet.
19.
Like 19 years old, guys. And look at what she, you know, she's a respected member of this community. You know, you may not know that, but I know that. And obviously Steve, I knew Steve by reputation. I've seen him on the Fedora Lounge, also well respected. And the thing is, I guess for you, Morgan, my question is, you know, somebody that's out there that might be in high school, right? They might even be younger than you, like, believe it or not, that would like, you know, I like the way that looks. You know, I like that hat that, you know, and that's somebody that's close to my age. Mm-hmm. How do I do? Like, what would I do if I really are just curious? I'm hat curious, right? Like I feel like sometimes I try to talk like the kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm hat curious. What do I do? Right? Like maybe I can't come in here and I can't Oh, that's my mom, guys. Shout out to my mom. Mom, I'll talk to you later. You know, shout out to my mom. Love you. Guys, don't hang up on your mom.
No.
Yeah, I didn't hang up on her. I just never picked up. FYI, respect your parents.
Yes.
But for Morgan, I'm like, okay, somebody's out there. I'm in high school. I don't have a lot of money, right? That's, you know, that it's one of those things, right? Like not everybody's got the coin, right? Like what would you say to that person? Like, how do you start?
Good question. That's a very good question. Well,
Just give it a little.
it's like it's a building up. You gotta build up to it, you know. If you to somebody that's younger than me, I would say focus on the education.
Yeah.
Because education unlocks so many gateways
Yeah.
in life that you can access the things that you want to do, the things that you love to do, and the things that you want to have. And own.
Yeah.
You know, it's a gateway for that. So I would definitely say focus on education because it's a especially in the background that I come from.
Yeah.
In I will bring it out there that I am in foster care. A lot of the youth in foster care don't go to school, do not have a high school diploma or a GED, and yet everybody wants to live the lifestyle of like a millionaire or a billionaire. It's hard to do without an education.
Right.
Education is very important. That's what I would say to somebody that's younger than me. Education is the way to focus on getting into the hat business. But even while you're for the moment right now, I would say to them, save up. Whatever money you do get, they say I think it's 40, 30, 30.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or
Shout out to
50, 30, 20.
Yeah.
I think it's 50, 30, 20 or 60, 30, 10.
Yeah.
One of those two. But you save 50, you spend on necessities 30, and you spend on whatever you want 20. If my math is correct, I believe that's 50, 30. Yeah. You do that. So that is something to remember and keep close to you because it's important to it's a life skill that is very important. It's important to save up not only for when you're in your 60s or your 70s, but also in case of emergency.
Yeah,
That's
wow.
very true.
So much wisdom, right, Steve?
So much wisdom from the youth generation today.
Like that makes me feel like there's hope for this planet.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's hope so.
You know, people like Morgan are what when I get up in the morning and I you know what? I don't know where this world's going. But with Morgan, that's advice. That's right. Wisdom comes from all angles.
That's right.
And right there, you got somebody that's not even 20 years old that basically gave you the blueprint, right? Education, right? If you think education is expensive, you should try ignorance.
Yeah.
Right. That whole famous saying. And it doesn't take money, right? You can go to college and pay for an education, or you could pay and get a free library card and get an education.
That's right.
Right?
That's what you do with it. Yeah.
That's right. You got books out there. People sometimes they give away books, right? They're like, what's just a book? Well, that book could be what opens up, right? The door for an empire.
That's right.
So again, you guys know I like to, I get preachy here, but I don't need to, right? Wisdom is all around you. And it comes from sources that you don't even expect. Right. Right. You're like, you have your own stereotypes and your own thing, but wisdom is all, you just got to open yourself up to it.
Right.
When it's right there in your face.
Yes.
Morgan, you just you blew my mind right there because again, that's exactly what happens to a lot of folks. They're like, well, they'll look at somebody else's collection and they'll say, well, I can't afford that. I can't do that. I'm like, well, that's fine. What can you afford? Mm-hmm. Also, what can you afford? Also, how can I afford it?
Right.
Because that's what Morgan was giving you the blueprint for. You want to huff, you wanted that fancy hat that Morgan's got on, right? That's a great hat. It's not cheap, but you don't make, right? What do you want? Do you want just the look? You have hats, right? Steve sells hats a variety of price points,
Mhm.
right? Steve's going to ask you, well, what do you want to accomplish, right?
Right.
The process.
Right.
Steve and Paul and all of the great hatters here, they're experts. The really great hatters are experts on the process.
Yes.
They're gonna like, what do you want to get, right? And that's probably my next question for Steve is like,
Sure.
if you get somebody in here, right? Right now that Morgan is just opened the doors, right? Like, oh man, Morgan just told me, she empowered me. Morgan empowered me to come over to Steve's shop on Avenue M. Now, what does Steve do for that person that's like, oh, hey, Morgan sent me?
Right. No, it's true. I mean, when we get somebody new in the store that's never worn a hat, we try and explain to them what the difference is between $100 hat and a $400 hat, and there
Right.
obviously is a very, very big difference.
Yeah.
Today's generation, unfortunately, a lot of them do not know.
Right.
And there's actually a lot of people that have been wearing hats for many, many years.
Yeah.
And you tell them that a hat is made from rabbit fur or beaver fur, they think they had no idea.
Yeah.
So that's important. Teaching the customer, educating the customer what the differences are, because today we live in what's called a disposable world.
Yes.
We live in it, and it's everything today. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's just the way things are. When you buy something, it's expected to last X amount of time,
Right.
and then you throw it out and get a new one. And unfortunately, hats have become the same thing.
Right.
Mainly because of the cost of the raw goods
Right.
and the labor that goes into it. So, not everybody that comes in can afford to buy a $400 hat. So we'll show them a wool hat, by a company, let's say by Bailey, which is known very well for their, big variety of wool hats. And that's usually what we call a starter hat, a first hat. And we tell them wear it. And then once you're used to wearing a hat, come in and we can go up one step and we can show you a Stetson or a Bailey felt hat or even a Borsellino, and you'll see the differences. And that's what happens. People come in and we educate them, and then they come back a year later and they're like, okay, I'm ready to buy something else.
Yeah.
I'm ready for a better hat. And we show them the differences and how much longer it's going to last and how you can refurbish a better hat. You can't do much with a wool hat,
That's right.
but a lot of people don't know. We
Yeah.
have people that coming in that they buy a hat like that, and then after 2 or 3 months, it literally falls apart.
Right.
Because it's made out of wool. It's one of those things,
Right.
and they're not happy about it. But we show them a fur felt hat that we can iron it, we can block it, we can fix it, and it's worth the investment.
Man, I mean, what else can you add to, right? Like that's exactly, that's it, right? Like, it, like, I can like, okay, now I'm just thinking, okay, they go there, right? We talked about this before, right? There's some people, they only own one hat.
Yes.
Right? That's fine. Maybe you only own one hat and that's a Bailey's. That's fine. You love that hat. It might fall apart on you. It might not. Like, obviously, right? If you're somebody that just has a hat, you just want to look at it. I'm cool. I'm somebody that wears a hat. Morgan wears, her hat. Right? Steve, I'm assuming, wears his hats, and it's one of those things where there's no wrong way to do this, but it's kind of like, what's your goal? What do you hope to accomplish? Right. Not everybody's a collector, right? We talked to Paul John Murphy of PJ Murphy and Son. He got into hats because, well, he had a health scare. He had to get into hats because, well, he had to put something to cover he was follically challenged, right? Shout out to you, Paul. Let's see here. I think we have Josh here that said, Josh says, it all starts with wool, then to a felt. Yeah, there's a process, right? A stepwise process. That's exactly what Steve just mentioned. I have depending on what your goal is, Steve's job, and I know he does it well, right? You're not in business this long and not do a good job. He knows how to shortcut your process, right? Once he knows your goal, he will tell you how to get there in the direct way possible, right? Otherwise, if you don't consult somebody like Morgan and Steve or anybody else that's willing to show you how to shortcut the process, you're going to zigzag.
Yes.
And you're going to spend a lot of money before you get to where you got to go. Or you can go and maybe swallow your pride. And I say this to the guys, right? I always feel like women are a little bit more they're a little more practical, a little more wise, and sometimes us guys think we know it all.
Yes.
So we were like, "Nah, I'm not gonna go and you know, Steve, I could, you know, I never wore a hat, but I probably already know more than hats than Steve, you know." And they'll do that, right? Like I mentioned that all the time. You go and open up your hood, right, and you get some guy that's gonna tell you what's wrong with your car. He won't fix it for you because he can't.
Right.
But he's gonna tell you, I could fix that. I don't got the time.
Yes.
Plus, that's pretty elementary. Because
Yes.
guys, you know, we just don't like saying we don't know. You know, so you swallow your pride and you go in there hat in hand, or hopefully hat in hand when you leave, right? That's the kind of the opposite way. You come in here with no hat and you leave with a hat, right? And you let this man shortcut your process. And maybe if Steve's too intimidating, you go and you reach out to Morgan, and Morgan will shortcut your process, right?
Steve you could never be too intimidating.
No.
Well, no, I didn't. Yeah,
I'm a nice guy.
Believe me, guys, he is like this. Like I said, you go in there, he's like, all right, this guy's been around the block. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, you can see it in real life. You know, and that's the beauty. Like, I had no idea what time I was going to get here when I finally got here. But luckily, he was right in the middle of helping a customer. And man, that guy left. That gentleman with his son left with a fantastic hat, also with a fantastic hat case.
Yes.
You know, you got. I just got a hat case from a gentleman on the door lounge, Jeff Garfinkel.
Okay, I know Jeff.
Yeah, shout out to you, Jeff.
Jeff's been here before.
You're the man, Jeff. Jeff got me my first Takubra, right?
Yes.
Shout out to Jeff. I bought a hat case from him, and he's out in Clearwater, I believe. Hopefully that's okay that I mentioned that, Jeff. Sorry, I just wasn't thinking. But he's out in Florida, and you know, man, what a great guy.
He has some collection of hats. I never realized that.
Yeah.
And he came in here a short time ago when we were talking about hats. He bought a hat from me, and I never realized how knowledgeable he really is. But
yeah,
he searches high and low for vintage hats, and he's shown on you know online on Facebook a lot of his collection, and I'm very impressed.
Yeah,
he's very impressed.
He's a guy that gets it.
Yes.
You know, when you meet those guys that get it,
Yes.
like he's not somebody that's gonna sit there and start arguing with people. You know, he is just God bless you, Jeff. You know, you are an ambassador.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that's what we need here. I'm okay if we have everybody in the hat community be an ambassador, right? Because again, nobody lasts forever. Right. And the nice thing is Morgan's gonna be Steve's gonna live forever. So he already promised me that he's gonna live forever, just like Paul is. You guys are not allowed to go anywhere. But just in case that you decide that you're gonna go and break your promise to me, Steve, Morgan's gonna make sure that she's got us covered. And that's how we do it. And then Morgan's but while she's handling and being the ambassador, she's gonna take care of the next generation and make sure that nobody there is gonna ruin this great hat hobby for everybody to come.
Right.
We're gonna have a renewed hat culture, right? Maybe we won't go back into the heyday of hats, but we're gonna get in numbers, right? Because there's gonna be more people and people that aren't used to. Well, they didn't grow up with hats, but they're gonna find their way, and we have to leave it better than we got it.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, let's see what else. There's so many questions, right? Like, you guys, and the thing is, we don't have to get it all done here, right? The number one rule of show business, not that I'm a showbiz guy, but is always lead on wanting more, right? So, I'll be back here. Like, I'm a Brooklyn boy. Why wouldn't I be back in Brooklyn, right? So, shout out to Brooklyn, and shout out to DC area, right? You're not that far away from Steve, right?
Nope.
I'm like, you can't tell me you are, because I've made the drive. You know, it's less than a 5-hour drive. Yep. You can go visit my man Steve. You can go visit Morgan, because Morgan might even be hanging out here when you show up. You know, and if not, you can make sure you just say, "Hey, Morgan, I'd appreciate it if you can go and run some interference with me, with my man Steve, while I buy my hat, and tell me how good I look."
That's it.
Because you're gonna come out here looking good. Steve's not gonna let you come out here looking worse.
No way. No.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, you know, you want to go and benefit from the multi generations of experience. Just like with Kevin Gerber, shout out to Kevin. You know, I wanted you here, but that's okay. We're gonna do it the next time, right, Kevin? if you're watching this, we're gonna get you here the next time, and it'll be myself, Morgan, Steve, and Kevin. Right, Kevin?
Or we'll go to Forest Hills.
Yeah, or we'll go to you. Like again, I know where Forest. I used to live in Forest Hills, so you can't hide. You know, we're gonna go and I'll figure out the way to make it work.
That's it.
Because well, Kevin, we miss you, and we this would have been like this is great. Trust me, don't get me wrong. But with Kevin, we'll step it up even more.
Yeah.
Because you know we stick together. What else? Okay, before I you know, I don't know how long we got 47 minutes. I want to make sure I'm not taking you guys away from if you guys have to go, that's cool.
Okay.
But Morgan, anything that you want to share about like in your time here in this hat hobby, or just about any hat news that you want to share, just so our folks that really love you out there. I love you. I love Morgan. I love Steve. I love you guys as well. Thanks for sharing your time. Good.
I love you too, Luke. And that's a good question. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, just you know, if there's anything like that you want to kind of just like any kind of like parting words, or like, you know, or maybe there's something you always wanted to say to Steve or to anybody out there, right? It's like something that you're like, all right, I haven't been on camera on Good Luke's. Now that I am, I want to make sure it's like maybe you want to shout out somebody. I don't know. I just want to make sure I let you say your, you know, what do you call it? Talk your talk, right?
Yeah.
Like the kids say.
Right. Well, thank you, Luke, for having me on your show. That means a lot. You know, being in the chat is way different from being on the panel and being able to express freely to the audience. To Steve, you have a wonderful business. Once again, you know all the shebang. I think that I consider Bencraft a second home to me.
Thank you.
If I may, I consider you a family member.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know, I have never, and like I said to Luke earlier, and like I said to you guys in the audience earlier, I could not think of another hat shop that is as welcoming and as hospitable as Bencraft is.
Thank you.
Bencraft is amazing. And like I said, I was not paid to say this. This is all from the goodness of my heart.
Yeah.
Bencraft is the place to be for any hat. And if I'm sure Steve, correct me, but if you don't have it, Steve can get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Steve can have it available for you if it's in the market. You know.
Oh yeah.
So there's never a reason why you shouldn't shop at Bencraft or stop by Bencraft at least.
Right.
If you're in New York.
Say hello.
That's right. Even if you, just say hi.
Steve is that hospitable. You know,
Yep.
even if you're just here to say hi and bye, Steve will say hello. How are you?
That's it.
Awesome, Morgan. Thank you so much, Steve. I'm gonna give you the same benefit if there's anything, right? So I obviously want, you know, just in case some folks don't know how to use Google and look up Bencraft Hatters, right, over in Avenue M. Steve, how can they get in touch with you? What do you want to say to the audience?
I mean, I appreciate you coming down here, both of you, and giving us the exposure and everything. And I've been doing this since I was 13 years old. I worked with my father since then, and I've moved up the ranks. You know, in the beginning, my job was to put the feathers on the hats. You know, people don't really wear feathers that much anymore. But now I run this little shop here, and we're trying to keep it going. And you know, if you've never worn a hat before, and I know a lot of people haven't, don't feel free. You know, feel free to express yourself. I know when a lot of people walk around, they don't see anybody else wearing a hat, but that's okay. You can be that one person that sticks out, and find your local hatter. You know, if you're not near us, there's usually one good hat store in every major city, and try on a hat. You don't have to buy it, but at least you can get an idea of what you would look like, and you may come back there and you may buy a hat, and then it'll start off just like with Morgan. You know, you start with one and you build yourself up. You don't have to buy the most expensive hat. There's plenty of beautiful hats out there that are, you know, not as expensive, and you'll see how it works for you. And if you like it, you come back the next time and you buy something nice, and then we'll teach you how to take care of it. And we service every single hat that's bought from our store. We've been doing that for 75 years, and hopefully another 75 years, although it won't be me. And you know, it's great to be around and, you know, see all the new people that come in and appreciate what we do.
Hey, I love it, you know? So, you know, and you know how this goes, right? So this is probably one of my shorter shows, but that's cool. Again, leave them wanting more. So you guys that out there, Josh, that joined us, and we had several. We have 5 people on right now, and, you know, only Josh made a comment, but that's cool. There's no wrong way to do hats. Unless you're a jerk, right? That's the wrong way. Don't be a hat jerk. And there's no wrong way to watch this channel. And also, there's really no wrong way to support Steve, right? Unless you're not supporting Steve. That's the wrong way, right? So Steve is gonna live forever, but he also wants to be in business forever. So we got to go and we got to share. You know, you make a little bit of coin, right? And you want to go and you want to buy yourself a milestone hat, right? We talk about that. You want to celebrate a promotion. You just made partner, right? You did whatever. There's no wrong way. Celebrate with a fine hat and come visit Steve. If you can't visit Steve, then go and find out from Steve. Who can I go to, right?
Yes.
He's got a network that you'll be very surprised, right? Jeff, I had no idea he didn't know that he knew Jeff, but not surprised. It's a small community.
It is. It is.
So go out there. Make sure you know that. Well, first of all, know that it's a small community. So, you know, leave a good impression. Don't burn bridges. You know, it's a small community, and you can be known for being good, right? Like I like to be known as Good Lukes, or you can be known as somebody, let's just say OTG, other than good.
I like
right?
that.
Don't be OTG. Just be good. You know, you know, and even if you don't great, be good. Be good to each other. Be good to yourself. But make sure that you support this gentleman because you know he's an ambassador, and it's very expensive out here, right? So it's we want to make sure that there's a lot of good folks that he employs. So shout out to them, Boris and Bill. Right? Yes. Shout out to Bill. Shout out to Boris. He's out there helping customers right now as we speak. And this goes on, right? This goes on with your help, right? We need you guys to go and if you want to buy that hat, maybe you had 100 hats. Maybe he can sell you 101. He could sell you number 1 or he could sell you 101. Either way, you're still good. So what I want to say is thank you to Morgan. Thank you to Steve. You guys are a blessing. And now I feel like I have a second home here.
Anytime.
You know, and you guys do that too. Thanks for rocking with me. What I'm going to tell you is, you know, support the channel, support Steve, you know, and you know how this goes, right? You know what I'm going to say, right? You've seen this many times, right? So even if you don't want to support me, even if you don't want to support Steve, you know, you better at least support Morgan. Come on now. Like, well, how do you not support Morgan? You know, just say, hey, Morgan, nice hat. That's it. That's what it cost. Didn't cost you anything but a couple words. And now Morgan's like, hey, you know, who doesn't want to say, hey, nice hat, right? Even if you don't do that, what you got to do, otherwise I'm going to get a little upset. Don't get me upset. I like to smile. Stay hatting, my friends. Have a great day. Ciao, my friends. Say bye, everybody.
Have a good one, everybody.
Take care.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for rocking with me.